Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel again. So in the last video we studied about I.A. Richards, Ivor Armstrong Richards. He told us that forget everything about historical sense, about background, about biography, about what critics has to say about it, and just focus on the close reading of the text, precision of the text. He told us about the four types of meaning that are there: sense, feeling, tone, and intention. After that, he told us emotive language and referential language and how emotive language is important for poetry. He told us about organization of impulses. In this video, we are going to study about one of the student of I.A. Richards, who was F.R. Leavis, Frank Raymond Leavis. If I.A. Richards asks that what does this do to my mind, F.R. Leavis asks that what does this do to reader's soul. However, you can't say that F.R. Leavis stood against as the contradictory to I.A. Richards. No, he took the idea of close reading from I.A. Richards and then he built on that thing. And his main idea was moral passion. It has to be all around moral passion. Before moving forward, let's just have some points about F.R. Leavis and his life. He was born in 1895 in Cambridge, England. He studied at Cambridge, he taught at Cambridge, and Donnay College, which comes under Cambridge University, that plays an important role in his life. He had a very difficult life, and that made him a very difficult man. He was dismissed and challenged by whatever literary establishment he challenged. But he kept on teaching, he kept on insisting, and he kept on convincing people by his ideas. The important works for us by F.R. Leavis are New Bearing in English Poetry, which was published in 1932. It is about how he promotes Ezra Pound, T.S. Eliot, G.M. Hopkins, and says that these are modern significant writers. After that, Re-Evaluation, which was published in 1936. It reassesses that which poet truly matters and which are overrated actually. The next work is The Great Tradition, which was published in 1948. It is about that which writers of which English novelists actually belong to the Great Tradition. After that, the next work is The Common Pursuit, which was published in 1952, and it is about how he developed his critical methods and things. Then the next is Scrutiny, which is not at all a work. It is a journal, literary critical journal, which he started from 1932 and he kept on editing till 1953. He started it and he kept on editing it. Okay. So it is a critical journal, all about the ideas, all about the things that needs to be here. It is all in this with his wife Q.D. Leavis. So these are the works which he has written and which are important for us for the literary criticism perspective. Okay, so we are going to take some of the points which are important for us to know well, for knowing F.R. Leavis well. Let's just start with The Great Tradition, which was published in 1948. It starts with the line that the great English novelists are Jane Austen, George Eliot, Henry James, and Joseph Conrad. Now it was very controversial because he not at all mentioned Dickens. What about Hardy? What about Henry Fielding? What about Lawrence Sterne? What about so many writers who were there? He did not even mention any of them, and he said that the great novelists are these. It eventually became controversial. Now he had some points after saying this line, which we are going to study in the later points. But later, when he realized this thing, then he wrote something about Dickens the novelist. I think that was published in 1970. This much I remember. So he wrote on the Dickens the novelist 1970, a separate work. Now you may ask that what makes a novelist great? Because he has been saying that the great novelists are Jane Austen, George Eliot, Henry James, and Joseph Conrad. So you may ask that what actually makes a novelist great? What was his criteria of considering someone great and just declining others, rejecting others? Or you may ask that what does Jane Austen do that he is considering Jane Austen as a great novelist? What did she do that she was he got so inspired that he put her in his category of the great novelist? So he had a line. He says that all of the novelists which I am saying, they have a profound sense of moral seriousness and an interest in life. Now, moral seriousness. You can't mistake moral seriousness of F.R. Leavis as moral judgment, as someone who preaches about moralness, as someone who tries to inbuilt moral thing. The writer or the poet, whoever is writing, you can't misunderstand this thing with that. According to F.R. Leavis, what is moral seriousness? He uses moral seriousness in the sense that how, what does it mean to live well? What are the consequences of choice? How human live well with each other? How to have the perfect life? How to have the full life? Not the perfect life. How to have the full life? This is the moral seriousness. And when you read George Eliot's Middlemarch, you will see that how she does not preach that whatever life she is suffering, whatever life she has been portraying, you just got to know all the things, aspects, certain criterias of the life. And when a reader will read that, they will get to know that these are the aspects which are there, and we can fully prepare before we arrive to that. It can, on its own, it can ignite the moral seriousness. And what exactly does it mean to live well? So according to F.R. Leavis, a great literature promotes awareness of the possibilities of life, awareness of the human consciousness. That is the true work of great literature. Now, I told you in the starting of the video that he was inspired by close reading, of which was introduced by I. Richards, and he took close reading and built his own idea upon this. So it was close reading with moral seriousness. Okay, he was more aligned towards the moral passion, moral seriousness. So he says that whenever a writer, whenever a person who is reading any work, any piece of art, then they must ask the question that what does the language reveal about the quality of the life of the person who is writing this, of the writer's attention to life, and how seriously writer is engaging with the human experience. If you ask this type of question, you get an answer, and you get to know that how the writer is inclined towards moral seriousness, close reading or not. You will get to know the effect when you read things. Because if a writer who is there, okay, and he is writing something, and if he is serious reader, if he is serious towards his life, then he would use the words which are clear, which explains people, which makes things simplified. But if a person who is not serious about life and who just believes in the show off, believes in the pompous life, then what will he do? He will try to use the vague things, vague words, unexplained things, will make even simple thing more difficult. It all shows the quality of the writer's attention to the life, to the human experience. This is what he means to the close reading with moral seriousness. After that, I also told you that there was a work, Re-Evaluation, which was published in 1936. In that, what does he do? So he was evaluating all the works which has been written. He was evaluating that how it all starts from one writer, and we all are in the living conversation. I think we studied in one of the videos previously that we are all in the living conversation, whatever the thoughts has been propagated till now. So what does he do? He says that Milton, who is there, he is actually is not a good writer, because what is he actually doing? He has used such pompous language, such grand language, that there is only thoughts in that, no feeling in that. And what does imitator do? They copy the style, they copy the grandeur style which Milton used. So according to F.R. Leavis, Milton is actually valuing grandeur over precision. So it was, according to F.R. Leavis, it was a great fault in Milton. So he was not at all a great poet when he was reevaluating the kind of the life and the works of the writers. Then the next point is the third realm. So what is third realm? F.R. Leavis believed that he did not even believe in subjectivity, and he did not even believe in objectivity. What is subjectivity? That if a writer says that I have read this work and he has just given you some summary of something, that is subjectivity. That I know this, I have done this, that is subjectivity. Objectivity is something that measures something against the standards, against the expressions, scientific and reference, whatever that is given, measure something against something which we have standardized for, measure something against that. He says that I do not believe in subjectivity, I do not believe in objectivity as well. So he created a third realm where there are shared fictions, shared beliefs, shared things. There is a space, there is a realm where these things, shared space exists. So when Leavis makes a critical judgment about something, that this is great and this is not at all even expressing his personal opinions, He is making judgment, believing that any serious candidate, any serious writer would also point out this. That is the shared fiction, that someone have shared beliefs, shared trust. Fiction means shared space. That is the third real, that if I can point out, then any other serious candidate, any other serious person who is doing the same thing, he will also point out the same thing. That is the third real, having the same beliefs, same thoughts. Then the next is the two culture. Now it is about the two culture. Actually, it was first it was a response to C.P. Snow, and he gave it in a lecture, and later it was organized in a book, The Two Culture. So it is between F.R. Leavis and C.P. Snow. C.P. Snow says that it is there are two types of culture: scientific and literary. He says that scientific has only the same role. Scientific, the same idea which we studied in utilitarianism. Scientific is only good, it is technological, it gives us the answer, there is no role of literary, something like this C.P. Snow says. To which F.R. Leavis responded, and he said that C.P. Snow himself doesn't know that what is culture and how to analyze that this is culture. He has no knowledge of any of that, and if a person who is only thinking that it is all about technological, then it is eventually the sign that he is the less human. After that, the next and the last is about the scrutiny, which is a critical journal. It is about, the name itself says that careful, closed, and rigorous, no follow toward fashion or trends. It was a rigorous kind of critical journal, and it was with his wife, Cutie Levice. It was all about a community which they made, and in that they used to do the critical analysis of the things, having certain points that we should not have no follow trends, fashions, only moral passion they used to follow. Okay, so these are some of the points which were important for F.R. Levi's. And with that, we come to an end of this series. This is the last video about the modern age critics, and that's it. See you soon in the next video, which will be about all the writers with their main points and philosophies in one video. After that, we'll be done by this series. Okay, see you soon.